Guys, RIB back again. How we doing? So today I want to talk about relationship coaching, and just the power of acceptance. So coaching a couple at the moment, and you've seen before that I've identified three areas, which are called the 3 stages of relationship. First stage is called attraction, which is where you're attracted, everything is up. Sex is great, talk is great, you get along, you're loving one another's company, you can't get enough of one another, can't get your hands off one another, right? That stage. And then we move on to the next stage called mud, and mud is where all of your SHIT comes to the surface, right? It's where all of those things that maybe you don't like start to appear in your partner. What's going on is that they're mirroring to you the things you don't like about yourself, right? So it's a bit like, for those who have kids, sometimes it's a bit like when you're, when you're a young one, might be a toddler, it seems to push your buttons, right? And you're like, and it's kind of driving you crazy. Now, in relationship, when someone pushes your buttons, or they basically go against the things that you hold dear, let's say that you're a rigid person, and the person you're attracted to has got a sense of spirit, freedom about them, right? So what's probably going to happen for most people is that your sense of rigidity, which you can call being organized and planned and so on, just might get challenged, right? And because it might get challenged, you might think incorrectly that we shouldn't be with this person, right? Because they're challenging me, they're challenging what I stand for. Whereas in actual fact, what this actually means is that this is something that you haven't accepted within yourself yet. You haven't accepted this within yourself. Now, I go into a lot more detail in another video that I'll probably attach to this one. And then the third area is called unconditional love. Now, unconditional love is where you stop trying to manipulate or change subtly or otherwise your partner. You stop that and you accept them for who they are. And so through accepting them, you actually accept and love yourself, which is quite interesting, right? So coming back now, this particular couple that I'm coaching at the moment, all was going really, really well, and now we're in a position where something happened, quite major, which it begins to really create a massive red flag in the mind of one of the people involved. Now, most times, in that feeling of emotion that we feel we've been let down, disrespected, and so on, we have this tendency to have this response of, that's it, I'm out of here, I'm leaving, it's over, right? And we make that decision from that emotional place. Whereas what we forget or fail to see is that quite often, not always, but quite often, that person is reflecting back to us that thing we haven't accepted within ourselves. And when we look at this through that filter, and we start to create and start to see compassion, and I speak about compassion in a previous video as well, so go back to that if you don't understand that part, but empathy, right? Empathy is power. So we begin to see where this is coming from, and through accepting other people, through accepting them, then what ends up happening is that we begin to accept ourselves. Then we begin to see that this big red flag that's being waved isn't actually a red flag. It's just an insight for us to learn to grow ourselves and to realize that this is something that I also need to work upon, meaning I need to accept within myself. And when we do that, we realize that person isn't someone who we shouldn't be with. It's simply that person is reflected back to us something that we have not accepted within ourselves. And once we do that, then we start to get closer and closer to loving who we truly are as people. All right? Trust that was of value. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye for now.